Welcome back. When looking for a furry friend, your first thought may be to check out your local pet shops. However, you could be supporting an operation harmful to an animal's well-being. With the announcement of the puppy mill pipeline bill, animal rights activists are speaking out in support of the bill. President of the Voters for Animal Rights, Allie Taylor, now joins me for discussion. Allie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Can you briefly tell me about your organization?
Sure. So, Voters for Animal Rights is a New York statewide organization, and we work to elect candidates who support animal rights. We work to hold our elected officials accountable to humane voters, and we work to pass legislation to stop animal cruelty.
Now, before we can truly understand the importance of this bill, can you tell everyone what a puppy mill is?
Sure. A puppy mill is a mass breeding operation where the mother dogs are relentlessly bred over and over and over again to breed as many puppies as they can for profit. The mother dogs are provided little to no vet care. They live in awful cages with wire flooring, little to no weatherproofing. When they get sick or injured, they do not receive vet care. And at the end of their lives, when they can no longer be producing puppies for a profit, and they no longer are considered to have value to the mass breeding facilities, also known as puppy mills, they are killed in ways that I do not want to describe today because they're very graphic. Um, Sorry, go ahead.
Now, why you talked about it a little bit, but I'm curious to know why is this harmful to a dog's health?
Sure. Well, like I said, these puppies are bred over and over and over again. And we're not talking about small breeding operations where um, a somebody might breed a dog in their home. And just as a side note, it's never a good idea to be breeding animals while there's thousands and millions of animals waiting for good homes and shelters. But this is not a small operation. These are massive operations where these dogs solely exist just to be bred over and over and over again until they can no longer produce a profit. There's very little recovery time in between litters. There's no vet care. Um, there's no type of relief for them. And like I mentioned, at the end of their careers, I hate even saying the word careers because it should not be considered a career for a dog. At the end of the time that they are abused, mass producing puppies, uh, they are discarded of.
Now, you talked a little bit about the conditions of these puppy mills. They sound really, really terrible. Like, can you just let us know where this is usually happening or where this is taking place? Because I've never heard of this before.
Sure. This is happening all over the country. This is happening in Pennsylvania, it's happening in Missouri, it's happening in many southern states, and it's also happening right here in New York. Seven of the worst breeders are actually right here in New York State. And the reason that New York is a huge priority for passing this legislation is that by shutting down the puppy mill pipeline in New York, by passing this bill that says you can no longer sell dogs, cats, or rabbits in pet stores, this is sending a huge economic message to the rest of the puppy mill pipeline throughout the country that New York is not going to continue supporting this.
Now, can you tell us how pet shops are contributing to this problem? Because I thought for a very long time, a lot of people associate pet shops with care for animals and, they think that animals are being treated well, but these pet shops could be contributing to this. So can you just let us know a little bit more about that?
Absolutely, that's a great question. Every single pet shop in New York State that is selling animals is directly contributing to the abuse and exploitation of puppies, kittens, and rabbits, and other animals as well. Um, every single time you buy a dog, a cat, a rabbit, or another animal from a pet store, you are directly supporting these out of state breeders and these massive factory farm like operations where these mother dogs are bred over and over again. And these dogs are shipped thousands of miles away to New York City and New York State pet stores. No reputable breeder would ever sell a dog to a pet store. They would sell directly to a consumer.
Now, all are all breeders harmful to animals? I know that sometimes people may post on Facebook or, say that they have puppies for sale. Are all breeders harmful?
We do believe so. There is absolutely no excuse to be breeding animals while there's millions of animals languishing in city shelters. Here in New York City alone, New York City Animal Care Centers takes in anywhere from 20,000 to 30,000 homeless animals per year. Um, I can't think of any good reason to justify breeding animals when we have animals that already need a home.
And can you tell me a little bit more about this bill and how it's going to protect these animals?
Sure. So this legislation that was passed by Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal and Senator Michael Gianaris would prohibit all pet stores across New York State from selling dogs, cats, and rabbits in all retail facilities. What they would be permitted to do is they would be able to have ad hoc events in their store where local rescues and shelters would be able to come and have events where animals could be offered for adoption. But what these pet stores would not be able to do is there would be zero financial transaction whatsoever between the rescues and the pet stores. Any type of fee that would be paid by potential adopters would go back to the rescue or to the shelter where the dogs, cats, or rabbits came from.
Oh, okay, so they're allowed to host like adoption day type of things. Okay, well
Yeah.
that's pretty good. I also wanted to know, would like Petco or PetSmart, I know that sometimes they also sell animals. Would they be considered like harmful places that contribute to puppy mills and stuff like that?
So Petco and PetSmart, as far as I know, do not sell dogs and cats, but they do sell other small animals. So yes, they are absolutely contributing to the problem. We currently have legislation in the City Council that was introduced by Councilmember Diana Ayala called Intro 4 that would prohibit all New York City pet stores from selling guinea pigs. The reason for that legislation is that we have seen a massive influx of thousands of guinea pigs that have been purchased in pet stores like Petco and PetSmart subsequently get dumped at our city's animal shelter. So it's not really fair that these private businesses are creating a problem that then becomes an issue for all of the local shelters and rescues in New York City.
Wow, thank you. I had no idea that was happening. So thank you for sharing. Now, as you mentioned, the bill would prohibit the sale of puppies, kittens, and rabbits in these stores. What is going to happen to those animals that are currently there?
It's a great question. There will be a phase out over time. A talking point that the industry likes to say is, oh, what are we going to do with those animals that they have? There are no shortage of shelters and rescuers right now that would gladly take those animals off of their hands, and they will have plenty of time to wind down their current business model and switch to a new business model that doesn't depend on animals' lives. There are thousands of pet stores all across New York State that have successfully made the transition from selling live animals to simply selling products that are made for pet owners, such as cat food, dog food, kitty litter, grooming, boarding, dog training, leashes, toys, you name it. And those stores have actually found that they're much more successful and have more longevity than stores that are selling live animals.
Now, I'm really curious to know what the consequences are for those who continue, because I think, as with anything, if they see a profit or they see if somebody wants a specific thing, I feel like there may be people who will still try. Do you know what the consequences for that is?
I believe the consequence is heavy fines. Um, I think there's always going to be a couple bad actors that are going to continue to try to operate, and we're going to leave it up to the New York State Attorney General to deal with them, just like they've done this year when there were some bad actors.
Now, I understand this bill could also protect potential buyers. As I mentioned, a lot of people don't really understand what's going on when they, go to get a puppy. So, can you explain why this is also going to protect them as well?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. This truly is a consumer protection bill as well as an animal rights protection bill, in that so many folks go to pet stores, they see that cute doggy in the window, they see the adorable puppies jumping up and down and yelping, and they think, oh, my heart, I have to take them home. But what they don't realize is that many of those animals are sick, they have injuries, they have illnesses that have not been properly treated within the pet store. If one dog gets sick in the pet store, they all get sick. And we have heard from countless consumers who have called us heartbroken after they've purchased a dog from a pet store and then the animal got extremely sick or died after just a few weeks.
Wow. Now, how can someone report a puppy mill or someone who's just breeding dogs?
Well, it's not illegal to just breed dogs in New York State. If you have a small breeding operation, you can get a license to do so. What we're really targeting are the mass out of state breeding operations that are then trafficking animals into New York. But to report animal abuse, you can reach out to our organization at vfar.org. You can email us, woof@vfar.org. You can also report it to your local police department or to the state attorney general's office.
Now, we talked about adoption a little bit. I really want to go into why adoption is so important. I know a lot of people, when they have an idea of the dog that they want, they may say, I want a Dalmatian or they want this specific dog. But why is it so important to themselves or to the animal that, you choose adoption?
It's so important to adopt because there are so many thousands, if not millions, of wonderful animals that are just waiting for a loving home. And they're just as deserving and just as loving as the, ideal animal that folks may be thinking of. And look, a Dalmatian is adorable, a Golden Doodle is adorable, but sometimes we have to make our consumer decisions based on what's ethically right for these animals more so than what it is that we want. Additionally, there are rescues for every different type of breed you can think of. My mom is a huge Schnauzer enthusiast. She's never had a problem adopting a Schnauzer from a rescue or a shelter, and we know that that's the same for just about every type of breed out there.
Now, what are some tips people should know when adopting? I know it's like a huge thing and people have the right intentions, but what is something that they should know before they decide to adopt?
I think definitely taking a good look at your lifestyle type. Are you working from home? That's going to have a big effect on the type of animal that you want to look to adopt. Do you have a yard? And by the way, you definitely do not need to have a yard in order to have a dog. Most New Yorkers, especially in New York City, do not have a yard. I think look at, do you have children in your home? What age are their children? Is your home quiet? Is your home loud? But any good shelter or rescue will be able to have a conversation with you and get to know you and your family and your lifestyle to help you better understand what the best type of companion animal would be best for your home.
Now, can you let everybody know how they can stay up to date with your organization?
Sure. You can check us out in several places. You can go to our website. It's vfar.org. We're also on Facebook and Instagram at Voters for Animal Rights, and we're on Twitter at the Animal Voters. One thing I also wanted to mention is we are currently waiting on Governor Kathy Hochul to sign the bill into law. She has until the end of the year to do that. And you can go to our website, vfar.org/puppy, to send her a quick email and encourage her to sign the bill.
All right, Allie, thank you so much. I definitely learned so much today, so I truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for covering this important topic.
We'll be right back with more Open BxRx Tuesday.